it's Diane. Today I'm going to talk about a book called Dear Reader by Kathy Rentzenbrink. The subtitle is The Comfort and Joy of Books, which I think is a really good subtitle because I do think there's a lot of comfort and joy to be got from books, and this actual memoir really demonstrates how people can escape from their lives and from things that worry them into a book. So Kathy details from a young age her life. She had a happy childhood and a brother, lived with her mum and dad in a pub, and her dad was an Irish sort of navvy, I suppose, worked on the roads, did building work and such like, and her mum did an Open University course. So a lot of people thought they were kind of mismatched people, and she gives some little anecdotes about what people said at the time. So anyway, Kathy has a lovely childhood and loves books right from the very beginning. So she reads and uses big words, and some teachers don't like it and are a bit off with her because they think she's kind of getting above herself. But then there's a tragedy that strikes when she's a young girl, in that her brother has an accident, and then he lingers on before he dies for quite a few years. There's also funny parts in this book. It's not all sad, but obviously it's a memory of a life. So anyway, Kathy is then beset by depression, obviously because her brother is ill for a long time and then he eventually dies. And then in her own life things happen that obviously would knock anybody for six. So along the way, as well as telling us about what happens in her life, she details the books that she read. And it's like revisiting a bit of a blast from the past for me, because a lot of them that she mentioned, were some of my favourites. Things like Little Women and What Katie Did, Flambards, She talks about Agatha Christie books. I loved the Agatha Christie books, and although everybody talks about Miss Marple and Poirot, Kathy actually mentions Tommy and Tuppence, which were two of my favourite characters, sort of bright young things after the war who set up a detective agency and tried to continue their life. And there's also later on The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read, which she read when she had a child. I didn't read until I had grandchildren, so my children just had to suffer along with me, a bit inept. So she mentions people like Georgette Heyer and Jilly Cooper. She read her for the sex scenes when she was a teenager and was a bit embarrassed taking the book back to the library. But she also talks about the hierarchy of reading, how some people think that you should just read worthy books, whereas her parents, particularly her dad, who actually couldn't read very well, encouraged her to read anything really, so there was no snobbishness about what she read. I have to say I totally agree with that. No judgment here. Read what you like. If you enjoy it, go on and read some more. So I think from that point of view, this book is really uplifting because it kind of encourages everybody to read whatever they want. She sort of mentions that a lot of books that actually, really up to date. She talks about books a lot, she was saying, because she worked in Harrods in the book department, and then she went on to Hatchards, and then eventually she worked for a charity which is called Quick Reads, which produces short books by popular authors for adults who are sort of emerging readers, or else we've used in the library, because we have them in the library, for people who either have dyslexia perhaps, or in the past for someone who's had something like a stroke and has short attention span. They're shorter, but they're with adult themes, so it's better than going back to junior books and feeling like you're kind of just reading books that aren't suitable for your age. So she's had a varied work life as well, and now she's living in Cornwall and she's become a writer. So she's turned her passion for books into a career really. I thoroughly recommend this book. It's brilliant. It's a good way of not only either reminding yourself of books that you enjoyed, but also of perhaps taking recommendations from it. You could use it if you haven't read some of these books to have a go, because she describes what's in them and they might be of interest to you. She says that she uses books as therapy because she didn't get on very well in therapy groups. And I have to say, if you're feeling down or you're feeling a bit under the weather, a book is a good place to escape to. I must admit I have my favourites on the shelf like she does at home, and I dive into them when I'm not feeling too good. So give it a go. You can't get it on Overdrive, unfortunately. It's a new book in the library, but you can get it in Dawlish Library, or you can order it online and just pick it up. Thank you.